This talk is exclusively about Pittsburgh and the services that they provided to the Beatles and Jeffing Corporation. Most people remember that Frank Zappa was on a tirade before any of this became a revolution that was not televised, where he would carry on about free speech being a moral absolute, being sacred, Salmon Rushdie division, and the Howard Stern show. And they started flinging their underpants, burning their bras, and all this stuff. Matt Marcus put out a song called I Hate Your Blouse. Okay, so abusive language was, and the girls came flocking to him and pushed me aside. So the abusive language was being lionized, right? So all of this degradation was going on. Of course, they exonerated themselves for calling me queer bait and hissing at me about Leslie Katz and all of the other terrible things that they were doing. Katz would go out into the woods screaming, rape, kill, pillage, burn, and eat babies. She would literally scream this with her friends as a chant for something they called the liberal religious youth. And if you want to be one of them and accepted in the group, you have to lionize this concept of free speech sacredity. Never mind the dignities of language, the fine points of the truth about the situation that you're in. All that goes by the wayside. They were inundating with degrading language as part of a strategy. So what was this? This was a killer part of this strategy. They were allowed to degrade you, daring you to say something um, to discredit their ghoulish um, underworld attack seductresses. Now, these women were older than me, often adults. We don't know, after battering me senseless as a 13-year-old and getting me almost comatose with alcohol. Also took me on visitation to a woman who I never, she was in her 30s. And this was the sort of thing that they did, kidnapping me for their horror show. Pittsburgh police said, now why don't you tell us something about to the discredit of our sacred woman with an IUD, which interestingly enough, the tubes boy crazy described while talking about Jimmy and Bobby. So at this time, so what they were doing was Martin Andelman daring me to say something about his adopted sister so he could break my jaw. Turns out um, her adult concierge was abusive of me and my mother's trust in her. And I tried to help her. And in fact, the team that adopted her admitted as much because they never did break my jaw. They never did say anything. But behind my back, she was setting up this insane depredation where they would misconstrue something that I regurgitated from the soundtrack that they played when I was a child hostage. So, what are they doing with their credibility tirades? What they're doing with their credibility tirades is anything degrading that they care to do to a child who they tortured. But it follows but dare you to do the same back. It follows the pattern of operations in the East End. A large man who killed somebody with a pistol was stood giving me the finger and giving me the finger and giving me the finger. And when I was stupid enough to give it back to him, he slaughtering me, like battered me in the head repeatedly, and I fell to the ground. And this is the dacoitery of Andelman and Flint and Reagan and Obama, probably Biden and Peter Gabriel, Robert Fripp. And they said, Amnesty International loves the Howard Stern show. You don't want to pressure us to not to consider these issues. Meanwhile, they were dangling this carrot with a line in the sand on a Kitty Hawk bit in a rock, saying, "Come on." It was Foucault's pendulum. Virginity proves right. Virginity does not prove right. Virginity proves right. Virginity does not prove right. Why are you so neurohypnotized to virginity proving rape and not proving rape, queer bait? It must have something to do with the abuse dialectic of nonviolence. Oh, and the gurus came out doing like this, Swami Nostra, Swami Nostra. Tell us, Juliana, what to do. Well, what we'll do is any symbol in his art, any symbol in his poetry, we will detonate for therapy. We will use to detonate for therapy. And this is the absurd alliance that the Jeffin Corporation mongered with that hideous, stupid people, the Clintons. And it goes to show you what a showboat of tyranny and stupidity is going on in the high sanctums of Oz. Because they're scrambling to replay soundtracks and he said something cunningly degrading about the credibility of our attack prostitute with an IUD. Oh, what's that mean, Jaime? Did he or didn't he degrade the credibility of our attack prostitute with an IUD? Hurry, Jaime, hurry. It's a moral necessity. Moral necessity. We must. We'll pay you in cash, Jaime. We'll pay you in cash.